if you've spent, well, any time online recently, maybe in the last 5 years or so, you've definitely been engaging with our topic today, even if you didn't realize it.
Hmm.
We're talking about native advertising.
Yeah.
It's that kind of paid content that just seems to blend in so well with the page or the feed or maybe your search results.
Hmm.
It often doesn't really feel like an ad, does it? More like it's just supposed to be there.
And that seamlessness, that lack of friction, well, that's absolutely core to modern digital marketing strategy.
Yeah.
For publishers, for advertisers, getting that native integration right. That's the key, is how you capture attention when everything feels so saturated online.
Okay.
So we've looked at some key definitions, some strategic analyses of this technique. We've got a clear mission for you today. We want to go a bit deeper than just the surface level.
Right.
First, we'll pin down what actually makes an ad native. Then we're going to walk you through the 6 main ways these ads show up across different digital spaces, hopefully giving you some real aha moments there. And finally, we really need to unpack these strategic wins, especially that powerful and maybe sometimes controversial link between, seamless design and building consumer trust.
Okay, let's get into it. Starting with that core definition. You mentioned context is everything. So when we talk native advertising, what's the essential connection between the ad and its, well, digital home?
Put simply, it's paid content that's really carefully designed to match whatever platform it's on, the publisher's website, their app, you name it. Its defining feature is how well it integrates, how it fits with the platform's niche, its look and feel, even how it works, its functionality.
So it's like design mimicry, almost, but for marketing. It tries to hide right out in the open.
That's a great way to put it, exactly. The whole point is for the ad to fit natively, to adopt the tone, the visual style of the host platform.
Right.
And it's that careful fit that makes it feel way less intrusive, much more organic to someone visiting the site compared to, say, a big flashing banner ad that's just yelling for your attention while you're trying to read something.
That makes total sense. You want to avoid being a roadblock and just be another piece of hopefully relevant content. So, okay, if blending in is the key, how many ways can this chameleon actually change its colors?
Yeah, the source material we looked at is really clear on this. Native advertising isn't just one single format. It's more of a strategy, and it gets used across a ton of different channels. It outlines 6 main approaches that cover, well, most of the native ad activity you see out there today.
All right, 6 types. Let's start with the one that maybe feels the most traditional, like where the ad isn't next to the article. It sort of is the article.
Ah, right. You're talking about sponsored content.
Yeah.
So this is where a brand will team up with a publisher. They co-create something, an article, maybe a video, an infographic that promotes a product or service. The absolute key here is the placement and the layout.
Okay.
It gets published right there on the host site, alongside all the regular editorial stuff, using the exact same fonts, same headers, same navigation. Everything looks the same.
You see this all the time, right? Like on big financial news sites, an insurance company might sponsor an article about planning for retirement or something.
Precisely.
And the power comes from borrowing that instant authority, doesn't it, from the publication itself?
That's it, exactly.
Yeah.
You trust the newspaper, so you assume the article in that newspaper is trustworthy content, even if it has that tiny little sponsored by label somewhere.
Right.
Okay, moving on. The next type often gets you right after you finish reading one of those articles.
Ah, yes. The little boxes down at the bottom of the page, promoting things that sometimes seem related and sometimes are just a bit out there.
That's number 2, recommendation widgets. These are those groups of links you usually see under headings like related stories or recommended for you, maybe you might also like. They're essentially paid ads promoting other pieces of content or products or services that are supposed to be contextually relevant, based either on your browsing history or just the article you finished reading.
I think these are kind of genius, actually, because you're already in that mode of looking for more information, right? Your brain is still engaged. And they feed you something that seems like the next logical click, even though it's paid.
Yeah, they tap into that moment perfectly.
Okay, so let's move away from news sites for a second and talk about the format that really dominates our scrolling lives.
We absolutely have to talk about in-feed ads. Think about platforms like Facebook or X or any news aggregator app where you just scroll and scroll.
Endlessly.
Exactly. These ads are placed right in that stream of content. And they're visually engineered very carefully to look just like organic posts. The goal is to get you to engage, or at least not immediately scroll past, by minimizing that feeling of disruption.
Yeah, they look identical to the post right above them, right below them. And the success of these in-feed ads, I think, is why the ad creative itself has had to change so much, so fast. Like a few years back, it might have been a static image. Now, it almost has to be a short, maybe slightly rough-looking video clip, mimicking that user-generated style you see on TikTok or Instagram Reels. Otherwise, it just doesn't work.
It's true. The ad quality has to keep pace with the organic content quality around it.
It's like a constant race to blend in better.
It really is. Okay,
Bye.
so the fourth and fifth types, these take us out of the content feeds and more into environments where people have a specific goal in mind, starting with search.
Right. This is where we go when we actually know what we're looking for, or think we do.
That brings us to paid search results.
Mm.
So a brand pays a search engine, like Google or Bing, to get their link featured prominently, usually right at the top of the search engine results page. The ads are for certain keywords. They're always marked, a little ad or sponsored tag. But the crucial thing is, visually, they blend right in with the style of the organic results listed below them.
And the big advantage there is just speed, immediacy. If I search for best running shoes, and a shoe company's link is right there at the top, looking just like all the other results, well, I'm probably going to click it first. Drives instant, high-intent traffic.
Exactly. High intent is the key phrase there. And shifting from the world of search engines over to, let's say, the digital shopping aisles.
Like Amazon or eBay.
Exactly. We find the fifth type, which works in a very similar way, promoted listings.
Okay.
On these big e-commerce platforms, advertisers pay to get their products featured higher up in the search results or within category listings. So if you search for coffee maker,
Yeah.
those first few results might be sponsored. But they look just like the organic ones. They have the ratings, the price, the picture.
Yeah, they look the same. And they work because you're already there to potentially buy something, right? You're in that transactional mindset. So seeing a relevant listing, even if it's paid, often feels helpful, not like an annoying ad.
Precisely. It meets your expectation for what should be there. Which brings us to number 6, the final and maybe the most pervasive form today.
Social media ads. We sort of touched on this with InFeed, but this category is broader, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. This category covers all those specific formats that are unique to each platform. Think about like Instagram stories ads, or those short vertical video ads on TikTok, or maybe carousel posts on LinkedIn or Facebook.
Right.
They're designed from the ground up to fit the specific visual rules and the way people interact on that particular platform. By matching those platform formats so closely, they just have a much better chance of engaging people who might otherwise just skip right past something that looks like a generic ad.
It's really quite a range then, 6 different methods, from sponsored articles, borrowing authority, to promoted products right when you're ready to buy, all trying to achieve that same goal, just with seamless integration. Which leads us nicely into the next part, the strategic payoff. Why is this approach so popular? Why do smart marketers prioritize it so much?
Well, it really boils down to 3 main advantages, starting with precise targeting.
Okay.
Because these native ads are made to fit so neatly within existing content, and because they align with the platform's specific topic or niche, they automatically tap into the audience's interests right where those interests are already active.
That contextual relevance must be huge for efficiency.
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. If you place an ad for gardening tools on a gardening blog, you're hitting a highly qualified audience that's already segmented itself, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
That approach tends to drive much better engagement, better conversions, and you waste less money compared to just blasting out generic display ads everywhere.
Okay, targeting is key. The second advantage you mentioned links back to the experience itself, the smooth user experience or UX. We keep saying they're effective because they blend in, but does that really stop ad fatigue? Don't people eventually just learn to spot and ignore things that look like sponsored posts?
That's a really good question. Ad blindness is definitely a real thing, but the argument in the source material is that even if users do start to recognize the patterns over time, native ads are still significantly less disruptive than things like pop-ups or those auto-playing video ads that jump out at you. Because they deliver the content more naturally, they don't force you to stop and navigate around them. They avoid creating that immediate sense of frustration or intrusion that makes people just want to close the tab.
Okay, so it's not that they necessarily trick you into thinking they're not ads forever. It's more that they're recognized as a piece of content you could look at rather than an obstacle you have to get rid of.
Exactly. They respect the user's flow, their journey through the content, and that better feeling about the experience ties directly into the third and maybe the most powerful advantage, consumer trust.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting, I think. We're moving beyond just how it looks and works into the psychology of it.
Right. So when a native ad perfectly adopts the style, the tone, the format of the platform's own editorial content, the sources we looked at really emphasize that this alignment actually lends credibility to the ad.
But wait, wouldn't that feel incredibly risky for a publisher? For their own reputation long term, isn't there a danger of blurring that line too much, sacrificing editorial integrity just for ad dollars?
That is the constant balancing act, the tension point in this whole field, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But purely from a strategic marketing viewpoint, the effectiveness is hard to deny. When an ad matches the publisher's look and feel that closely, it communicates, and this is the key phrase from the analysis, absolute endorsement from the publisher.
Wow, absolute endorsement. So the publisher isn't just renting out space on the page.
Yeah.
By allowing that design mimicry, they are, maybe implicitly, lending their own hard-won credibility to whatever's being advertised. It's
Yeah.
like borrowed trust.
That's the strategic takeaway, yes. The design itself acts as a powerful mental shortcut for the consumer. Instead of having to stop and critically evaluate this new piece of information on its own merits, the consumer often relies on that visual cue. The signal that says, this belongs here, this fits with the stuff I already trust from this publisher. That psychological alignment is really why native ads are such a potent tool.
Right.
They engage people more effectively, usually while keeping the user experience positive, or at least not negative.
This has been a really insightful deep dive. So we've defined native advertising. It's paid content designed to perfectly match its surroundings. We've broken down those 6 main forms, from sponsored articles to in-feed social posts to promoted listings,
Right.
and we've dug into why it works. Precise targeting and relevant context, a smoother user experience, and crucially, leveraging that borrowed credibility, that absolute endorsement.
That really covers the landscape.
Yeah.
And if we think about that last advantage, consumer trust, and bring it back to, your everyday scrolling, there's a pretty important question to mull over. If an ad can gain credibility, can communicate that absolute endorsement just because it looks like the publisher's regular content, what does that connection between visual design and perceived trust really mean for our critical thinking when we're consuming any kind of content online?
Huh. Because an ad looks exactly like an article, your brain is sort of primed to treat it like one, maybe lowering your guard. It's a powerful, almost subconscious shortcut the advertiser is definitely using.
It is. So maybe the next time you're scrolling through a feed or you finish reading an article and see those recommendations, just take an extra second. Notice those subtle visual cues, those signals of endorsement. They're engineered to feel natural, seamless. But underneath that smooth surface, there's a very deliberate, strategic choice being made, designed to tap into the trust you already have.